Hi, Rene with the American School of Hypnosis. In today's video, I'm going to answer a question from Peggy. Let me go ahead and read her question. She says, my biggest concern is confidence in responding to potential customers with strong religious backgrounds that feel hypnosis is some sort of voodoo. I live in the Bible Belt. Thank you. Okay, I'm glad you asked that question. I hear that quite a bit from students because it seems like there's Bible belts everywhere throughout this country. I even get the question from other countries. Don't worry about it. It's not a problem unless you make it a problem. So I have a few things to respond to this question with. First of all, hypnosis isn't against anyone's religion that I know of. Because if you think of it, what is hypnosis? Hypnosis is being open to suggestion. Well, one of the biggest things in church is teaching through suggestion. Now, one of the earlier forms of hypnosis, Ericksonian hypnosis, is basically getting suggestions across with metaphors or through stories. Think of that, metaphors and stories. The Bible, you're teaching parables, teaching messages through stories. Pretty much every religious organization that teaches from a book of some sort is teaching through these stories. That's the earliest form of Ericksonian hypnosis. So the people that told these stories, parables years and years ago, were the earliest forms of Ericksonian hypnotists. So hypnosis is being used from the pulpit more than just about any place else, with the exception of maybe sales. Suggestion is given all the time. Matter of fact, we've taught a lot of ministers, rabbis, and preachers from all different kinds of religions hypnosis to be able to help them to contact with their parishioners better. So don't worry about teaching in the Bible Belt. You know, something interesting, when I first started doing hypnosis, I believe it was my second office was in the town of Sanford. I speak to people about this in videos a lot. Sanford was a very religious city. Matter of fact, probably the third or fourth most religious city in the state of Maine. If you were to fly over Sanford, all you would see, you'd see it littered with these huge steeples from Catholic churches as well as others. But it's a very, I guess you could say, French Catholic area. Matter of fact, my office, which was on Main Street, was wall to wall with a huge Catholic church. So every Sunday, if I was in the office, I'd see them all swarming in and swarming out of the front door, walking right by my window. Matter of fact, kind of made me nervous because sometimes they'd stand right in front of my window while I was sitting at my desk. I remember this one gentleman one day had his arms crossed and he's looking at me going, and of course I just looked at him and went like this. And he walked off grinning, okay? Some of the sweet old ladies walking together down the sidewalk, they'd walk up to my window, they'd cross the street, walk around the other side and come back. If they are afraid of hypnosis, it's because of misconceptions. It's because of what they don't understand. It's because of the mesmer type thing where we're going to control your mind. But you know that's not a problem. Now, the interesting thing, when I first started, I was right next to this church, and I wanted to do past life regression. And I had some students that wanted to do it with me, and I was so scared. I'm going to lose my clientele. No one's going to come. I'm going to have burning crosses out in the street and all kinds of posters and nasty notes on my window. Guess what? It was just the opposite. I found that the very first past life regression group session I did, all I did was put some signs up on my windows, and I believe I had 36 people in attendance. 36 people at $50 a head. It was a great night. And the majority of them were very religious people. Why? Well, some of them don't know whether they're supposed to believe in it or not. Some of them are curious. But guess what? It's the curiosity that gets them. So I found whenever I've done anything like regular hypnosis sessions, groups, past life regression, even contacting spirits, I get twice the response, or twice the people in attendance in a Bible Belt area than if I'm not. So I would much rather do hypnosis in a place that calls itself a Bible Belt than a place that wasn't, because you're going to get a lot of people due to curiosity alone. So it's not against their religion. It won't harm them. It's not of the devil. So don't worry about it. I even had one guy, I was sitting in my office, come walking down the street, Bible in hand, walked in, he says, "You're going to hell for teaching this." I looked at him, I says, "Why don't you sit down and tell me why? I'd like to hear about it." So he started discussing it, and it was all misinformation. So I asked the gentleman if he drives, if he's ever driven down the street, gone 5, 6 streets, and all of a sudden came around and said, "How'd I get there?" "We know that to be street hypnosis." He said, "Of course I did that." I said, "So then you're going to hell with me?" And he kind of chuckled, you know. Have you ever gone into a grocery store to buy 5 or 6 items, but you walked out with 30 items? What was up there? Suggestibility was getting through to you from maybe somebody giving samples, from pretty signs, and you bought things that you weren't normally going to buy. That's hypnosis. You see what I mean? So even he was hypnotized through advertising, through television, through the book that he was clinging big time when we spoke about that. By the time he left, he almost booked an appointment, but at least he understood he was wrong, and he apologized for what he said when he came in. So it's interesting that once people understand, it's totally different. And like I said, we teach a lot of preachers who get up and they understand Ericksonian hypnosis, or they understand using metaphors in their, what would you call it, their, across the pulpit, in their sermons, so they're able to do a much better job. So looking at the question, it's not any kind of voodoo, and as long as you don't worry about it, they won't. So please don't have any chickens walking around your office, or have any kind of voodoo skulls or claws, okay? Because you don't want to scare people, even if you're trying to be funny. So keep it a generic type room. Keep it like you would any other professional office, and you shouldn't have a problem. Now, the people that are really scared about that, the ones that think you're doing voodoo, no matter what you did, they're not going to show up. These are the ones that are closed-minded, that aren't open to anything outside of themselves. And if they're like that, they're not going to relax and probably go into hypnosis very well anyway. So there's enough people out there that don't feel that way. Don't worry about it. Whatever it is you want to do with hypnosis, whether it be clinical or the metaphysics, no matter where you are, just do it. Like I said, if it's not a problem in your mind, it won't be in theirs either. Normally, when we have problems with things we're worried about, it's our own feeling towards it rather than others. So I hope this helped convince you that it's not against any kind of religion or any kind of spiritual belief. And with that, have confidence. Go out and do it. That was the beginning part of your question was, my biggest concern is in confidence. You can have the confidence in responding to customers with religious backgrounds. It is suggestibility, and suggestibility is used going over the pulpit more than any place else. Thanks a lot for listening. If you enjoyed this, learned anything from it, please leave a comment below so we know we're doing a good job, and have a great day.